Okay, so today we're going to talk about virtual interviews, whether that be I can't even talk, Zoom or Skype, that type of thing. And I'm going to go through the PowerPoint that I created for this. And this PowerPoint, I will update it, finish updating it, and upload it into Canvas as there's some new information there. So let me share my screen. There we go. Should be up in just a second. Okay. Okay, so more and more places are going to the perspective of having online type interviews or phone interviews. Part of that, of course, right now is it's just the way life is. But even when we're not in the midst of this global pandemic, we're looking at monetary issues. It costs a lot of money for companies to fly people in. It used to be commonplace. Hey, we'll fly you in for an interview. Anymore, that just doesn't work. Also, people don't stay put in their same part of the world as they usually did. And so this just makes more sense for them. Okay, so talking about clothes, we'll start with that. Make sure that you're dressed from head to toe, okay? So for one thing, how we dress affects how we feel. When we are dressed in our sweatpants and our t-shirts, we tend to have more of a relaxed vibe to ourselves, whereas when we dress up, we tend to have more of that, okay, let's stay on top of things. Stick with neutral and solid colors. Make sure that you do dress from head to toe. That way, if something happens and you have to stand up and turn around, get something off a shelf or something, people see that you are entirely clothed instead of like having on your gym shorts or something like that. And remember that the ways that you can find out proper ways to dress, look at the website, Facebook, Twitter feed, or if you're just really at a loss, just give them a call. Okay, so as far as your appearance, so guys, if you're just in the process of growing out a beard where people look at you and go, is he growing a beard or did he just forget to shave? So if you're at that point, go ahead. My recommendation would be to shave it off. You can start your beard again afterwards, okay? Do make sure that your hair is neatly groomed. This is where you'd want to go in to a mirror right beforehand, double check, make sure that your hair looks good, make sure that if you've eaten recently, you don't have anything in your teeth. And really, just as a thought, it's not a bad idea to take a quick minute and brush your teeth. That way, if you have any, you know how sometimes you get like little pieces of nuts or something stuck on the inside of your teeth, and then they get really annoying during the interview, and it's going to be really obvious that you're trying to get something out of your teeth. So for females, just keep the makeup really light and natural. Make sure that you check it out under the lighting conditions beforehand. Okay, this is the tricky part of where to look. Okay, you need to be looking at the camera, which feels really weird, especially when you're in an interview situation and the other person's face is right there in front of you. So you can put, like, I put a little sticky note up next to my camera sometimes. It says, hey, look here, a smiley face, whatever. The more you practice, the easier it gets. Okay, so as far as your voice, it takes some getting used to as far as the proper volume, the pitch, the speed, the intonation. It often feels a little mechanical talking over computers. One good thing about our current online venue is that many of you are getting used to having the type of Zoom meetings for your classes to where it will be second nature for you by the time you go for an interview, or at least not totally foreign. Okay, so your smile. A smile tells people that you're confident, that you have a positive attitude, that you're enthusiastic about the job, that you're happy to be there. Basically, that translates to when you go to work for me, If I'm interviewing you, you come to work for me, I'm thinking, wow, this person is going to be a great person to work with. Okay. Of course, it's more natural when you're face to face. So you kind of have to play with that and help yourself remember. Again, if that little sticky note up next to the camera can be a smiley face. And it really helps to get into smile mode before placing the call. Okay, as far as your body language, watch the gestures, the nervous fidgeting, keep the good posture. We tend to get kind of relaxed when we're in different situations. Do try to relax your shoulders, because otherwise what happens is, and let me lose the sharing here for a second. So what you're looking at then is that your shoulders kind of tend to creep up, and there we go. Your shoulders tend to creep up so that you can, you just get real tight. So you just kind of want to really loosen them up. Okay. My Zoom is doing all kinds of weird things. So I'm going to pause the recording for just a second. Okay, so one thing that, like what just happened with me, is I haven't done this type of format much, so I was a little unfamiliar with how to do things. This goes for when you're doing your interviews with Zoom too, or Skype or anything like that. If you're not really familiar with it, something like that's going to happen. Can you imagine if I was in the middle of a job interview and say I was trying to show someone a presentation that I had created, and then all of a sudden I'm having technical issues? I would be really frazzled, freaked out, and I probably wouldn't even be able to spell my name correctly. Okay, so just some things to keep in mind there. But as far as your shoulders, I'm not sure if you could see that. It's when we get nervous, we hunch up like this, and the tightness tends to go all up through our shoulders like that. Okay, let's go back to our screen. Okay, as far as the fidgeting, many times sometimes people click pens. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Chances are you can, okay? So just be mindful of any nervous fidgeting you may have. Okay, some things you're gonna wanna look at. You're gonna wanna have a room with a door and have the door closed. Good idea to put a sign on the door, because even if you told your whole family, say other people are home, even if you told them all, hey, I'm doing an interview, people forget, things happen. Okay, that little reminder will help. Do make sure that you log out of anything that's going to give you a notification, whether that's Facebook or email, whatever. Okay, weather alerts, things like that. Just make sure that they're shut down so that you're not distracted from your interview. Make sure that your phone is silenced, not just on vibrate, because then you're going to get that, again, that slight distraction. And it could happen at the worst possible time when you're trying to answer a really intricate question. And then you're distracted, you forget what you were saying. And just make sure everyone knows about it. There are times that doing the interview at home is not the best choice. Okay, so a friend of mine several years ago, she actually worked at the Institute, and her husband was an assistant football coach who got a job at Stanford. And so he was already up there, and she was applying for jobs there. And she had large dogs at home. She knew that there'd be no way that she could have a decent interview in her home setting. So she was able to work it out to go to the library, and to the public library, and do it there. She did go ahead of time. She tried it out to make sure that there was good Wi-Fi, nice and strong, so that she wasn't going to lose any signal. Okay, other things to look at. Look behind you. So Skyping or Zooming with somebody else is really good, because then they can kind of help you pick out what's going on behind you. Like right here, this is our second bedroom. It's not really set up as an office, so you can see some clutter in the background when we get back to that. So if I were doing an interview, I would probably stage things a little differently. Make sure if there's any artwork or posters visible in the background that they're not questionable, that they won't offend people. Anything that's visible, try to keep it well organized. Blank or neutral background is good, but if there's a white wall behind you, it can wash you out. When possible, use natural lighting. It brings warmth. Fluorescent lights really aren't flattering for anyone. Problem with backlighting is that the camera is going to adjust to the light and you're going to be a dark blur, okay? If you wear glasses, when we get back on and you see me, you'll notice that I have some light reflections on my glasses. That can be problematic, okay? If there's a window directly behind your laptop screen, the other thing you could run into is distractions, seeing things going on outside, especially if you have a pesky younger sibling who's going to be outside that window making faces, doing things like that. Okay, and this is a general thing for how to sit when you're facing the camera. You know, when you go to get your picture taken, they tell you, okay, swivel slightly to your side and then turn your head to look at the camera. That's kind of what you want to do, if you can remember. We don't always remember to do that. It doesn't feel real natural at first, but it does tend to give a nicer view, nicer persona there. Okay, do practice. Takes time to get comfortable with the video interview, figure out where to look, what to do with your hands, how loudly you're going to speak, pacing, things of that nature. So regardless of what software is being used, make sure you know how to use it. Make sure you practice it ahead of time. Even if you used it the night before, make sure that you double check, okay? Because updates happen. Any more laptops, the camera and the microphone that come with them are usually going to be pretty darn good. One thing with your laptop, okay, we tend to sit with the laptops down on the desk, which means that the camera is like about a foot below our eye level. So what you can do is you can set it up on top of something, a stack of books, a tissue box, something like that, to bring the camera more to your eye level. Okay, so if you're using Skype, make sure you have a professional Skype name just like you do with your email. Okay, double check the connection. And like I was saying, even if you logged in the day before, make sure you log in right before so that you can make sure that there haven't been any updates that moved things around, like what happened to me in PowerPoint this morning. So just before you do your interview, Skype with someone, if at all possible. Gives you a chance to check your volume settings, your lighting, how does this clothing look, you know, how does the background look. Sometimes what looks okay to us when you are looking from the camera perspective, the colors, the patterns, if there's any patterns in our clothes, it's distracting and it doesn't come through very well. So that practice is good. It also helps kind of put you at ease. So during your interview, try to relax. Remember to allow for connection lag. Remember that there's a real life person on the other side. Maintain that eye contact and remember to smile. So this listening actively. When the other individual is speaking, you'll want to like nod your head, make listening sounds like, oh, okay. What that tells the other person, one, that you're paying attention. Another is that their signal is still active, okay? There are times that if you were sitting perfectly still, the other person may think, oh crumb, I lost the signal, this thing has died. So if you do that, it'll help with that. Don't even touch your keyboard. It's really easy to, I mean, we're used to touching keyboards, right? We're used to doing things. Don't do that. It screams that you have other things that are more important. And again, get rid of any distractions. Messed up on this slide a little bit. So notes are not cheating though. Do print out your resume. Use a little bit larger font, makes it easier to find things. You can highlight things that you want to make sure to talk about. You can have notes about the company, the position listing, again, highlighted so that you can make sure that you speak to those points, and just make it, you know, whatever's in your best interest, easiest for you to refer to. If there are technical difficulties, make sure you address them right away. Okay, technical difficulties are not going to sink the interview, but your personal response could. So say all of a sudden, I can't hear the person on the other end. I may think they can't hear me. I could get upset. I could get frustrated. Maybe my language would not be appropriate. The other person may be able to hear me perfectly. So that's when you want to watch that. So do address them. If there's a slight garbled signal, you just kind of miss something, you can say, excuse me, or could you repeat that? If it happens over and over again, make sure to bring it up. Says, I'm sorry, I still can't hear you, or I'm having troubles on my end. Would it be possible if we disconnect and I can call you right back, because maybe that'll clear that up? That's happened in a couple of interviews that we've done when we've been hiring for our department. And it's always very nice to get that all worked out for people on both sides. Okay, after the interview, make sure that the connection is closed down. Wait a couple minutes, close the program, close the computer, walk away, take a deep breath, get a glass of water, then come back and send a thank you email right away, and then follow it up with a thank you letter or a thank you card. Okay, and we're not going to go into the phone interview now. So go ahead and unmute yourselves. And so what questions or comments do you have? Or looking at your picture, think of what are maybe some things that you would do different. How would you set up your space differently if you were doing an interview?
I would probably be in the bathroom, honestly.
What's that?
I said I probably wouldn't be in the bathroom.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, because this is my only desk that I have, so it's in here. But
oh, okay.
I'd choose somewhere else.
Is there any way we can do an example so we can see what actually, how is that going to go and what we have to say and how is the process going to go?
Yes, and actually I'm in the process of creating that where you will do a recording. We could also set it up as a live interview as well so that you could practice that way. And
when we're going to do that?
I should have that posted definitely by the end of this week as far as the details on that.
Okay.
The one as far as doing a recorded, that is already put together. I think I just need to tweak that just a little bit. If we're going to do something that is more of a live face-to-face mock interview, to be honest with you, if it's something that you just say, you know, I'm really nervous, I want to do this soon, just drop me an email, give me a couple of times that will work for you, and we can just set that up.
And when is that interview due?
So the interview will be part of the final exam. Okay, and that is our final exam will be that first Tuesday in
May.
In May. Because so, and not everyone has to do it Tuesday. And I'm fine if people want to do it the week before or on Monday or on Wednesday, anything like that. I'll be putting together, I'm working on a Google form so everyone can kind of sign up, you know, give me several ideas of what times work. That way I can recruit the people.
My last question is, I just submitted my cover letter and resume.
Okay.
I did it last night. So I just
okay. Good. I'll be printing out some more of those. That's one of the things. As soon as I have one other Zoom meeting today, but the rest of the day is for me is going through everything that's been submitted, doing the markups, putting in the grades, and then I will be scanning them and emailing them to you.
I saw the mock interview assignment on Canvas where you submit the video. Is that what you're talking about with the
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just going to open that on my other computer here so I can just double check what I have in there. Okay, giving me a hard time here. There we go. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty well up to date actually. And I'll be going in, I need to rearrange points and everything, but you can start looking at it and kind of planning on what you know, how you would respond to the different questions. Okay, that's going to be the same. I just need to go in and adjust some things because this was originally created as kind of a bonus activity. But now that we're in that world, then it's going to be, since we can't do a face-to-face in-class mock interview, that's how we can do that. Okay. Now you guys see what I'm talking about with the glare on my glasses?
Yeah.
But see, if I turn off this other light, then I have the backlighting, and you see the difference that it does there. Same thing, like if I do something different there, then I have, let's see. So you just get all kinds of different things going on with the lighting. That's where you really have to play with it ahead of time, figure out the best. And you may not be able to get like the ideal, but you just get the best that you can get, which for my situation, it's having that, even though I've got the annoying glare. Now, if I didn't have to be able to see anything, I could always take my glasses off. But at this point, if I had to look at my resume, yeah, it wouldn't work at all, okay? Now, if you have contacts, then that works perfect. Yeah, I don't wear contacts at all, so. Okay, any other questions about Skype or Zoom type interviews?
No.
Have any of you guys ever done those before at all?
No.
Okay, have you been doing Zoom conversations with any of your instructors?
Yes.
Okay, so you're starting to get more familiar with how that works?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions, then I will just go ahead and wrap this up. Remember, be emailing me any questions you have. If you want to, you know, do any type of a Zoom meeting where it's just the two of us talking about any aspect of the class, just let me know and I'll be happy to schedule that, okay?
Alrighty.
All right.
Got you.
You guys have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too.
You too.
man.